news tonight. ANZ and BSP under scrutiny by Commerce Commission. Water Authority customers complain of massive hike in bill. An escaped inmate recaptured as police investigate breakout. Good evening, I'm Jackie Spade. The Commerce Commission has warned two major banks that they're being watched. Chairman Dr. Mahendra Reddy has directed his officers to look into possible collusion and predatory pricing by ANZ and BSP. As Edwin Nunn reports, this may have allegedly been triggered by Breadbank's entry into Fiji.
Since Breadbank opened, there's been a push by ANZ and BSP to attract customers, or at least to keep the ones they have.
Suddenly here, they've dropped their interest rates on home loan and automobile. And not only that, they've dropped it substantially. And not only that, we find that both of the banks are offering exactly the same interest rates.
ANZ and BSP are offering a home loan rate of 4.5% and car loans at 8.9%. For Dr. Reddy, it's too much of a coincidence.
We have now begun our own due diligence to ensure that there's no collusion in price setting in the financial sector by these two players. And at the moment we see preliminary evidence of tacit collusion.
Dr. Reddy adds that customers shouldn't be fooled by the attractive interest rates because it's only designed to push out competition. If that succeeds, rates will go up again.
It could just be competition. These two banks could be responding to a new entrant.
The timing. I mean, that's good. We like that. We wanted this long time back. Why now? Why on the eve of the entry of Breadbank into the market? We need to protect new players.
The Commerce Commission says customers should openly support Breadbank and not just the household brand names, because in the end, the people will benefit. He's also sent a message to ANZ and BSP.
Conduct yourself well.
That's it.
According to the law of the country.
Edwin Nand, FBC News.
Questions have been sent to ANZ and BSP. A response is expected later. A bus driver who allegedly caused the death of 3 passengers in an accident in Ba last week has been granted bail. Sachindra Krishnil Nath faces 3 counts of causing death by dangerous driving and 2 counts of causing harm. His lawyer Faiz Khan applied for bail, with prosecutors asking for strict conditions. Magistrate Mosese Naivalu has ordered the accused to report to Raki Raki police station twice weekly, and he is not to interfere with state witnesses. Nath surrendered his travel documents and there is a stop departure order against him. His case will be called for mention on January 22nd next year. Air Pacific is going through one of its toughest periods this year. Flight disruptions continue to affect the airline for the 2nd week in a row. Last week, flights were affected due to problems to one of its 747 jumbo aircraft. Today, they have announced further disruptions following a mechanical issue with one of its 737 aircraft. Christopher Chand reports.
The last 2 weeks has been terrible. Flights being cancelled and delayed due to problems with aircraft. Last Friday, hundreds of frustrated passengers crowded Nandi Airport for this Los Angeles flight, which had been delayed.
Been waiting at the airport for an hour and 10 minutes.
And how far have you progressed?
We have progressed about 20 yards, but it's unclear which line is the right line, whether there's a plane, what happened to the last plane, how come they didn't call us last night to tell us that it was not going to take off?
Air Pacific's response has been standard. They apologize to customers for the disruptions. But the ongoing delays has a significant impact on their business. Passengers may choose another airline on their next flight.
We're frustrated, and Qantas and Virgin Air are looking better and better.
Both 747 jumbo jets are back, giving Air Pacific's fleet a boost. But just as you may think that it may be the end for disruptions, the airline has announced further delays to a total of 10 flights this week. If you have a flight with Air Pacific, it will be wise to check for new flight times. Christopher Chand, FBC News.
Shocking is how some customers of the Water Authority of Fiji are describing their bills for the month of November. FBC News has spoken to 2 customers who say their bills have taken a massive hike and they've lodged their complaints with the authority. Roland Koroy reports.
This bill belongs to a family who has lived in Lakemba Street in Samambula for the past decade and very rarely have their bills gone over $100. In fact, they've even claimed to have paid most of their bills before it was due. So you can imagine their surprise when they opened their bill last week to find this amount, $2,408.26. And they aren't the only ones. Another customer has refused to pay his bills after receiving dues totaling more than $3,000. One customer claimed she was told that the bill belonged to one of her old neighbors who had moved out of the area, and because he hadn't paid, she was now responsible. A response from the authority this afternoon stated the transfer of arrears from previously disconnected meter accounts to active accounts on the same premises is part of the arrears recovery process by vigorously pursuing customers who have been evading their arrears through various means, either through deviously applying for new meters or property owners who purchase new properties with multiple water meters and where water debts from previously disconnected meters were not disclosed by the previous owners during settlement, and thus a new owner had unfortunately inherited the debt and now liable for its clearance. FBC News then responded that both customers had never shared water meters and that the properties they lived in belonged to their families for generations. To this, the authority then said they'd send a team to the customer's residence to investigate. Both customers in this case have refused to come on camera, but they've given us their water bills. Roland Koroy, FBC News.
Escaped inmate Deswar Dutt has been recaptured by police. Dutt was recaptured by an operation team near the Fiji Sugar Corporation compound in Lautoka this afternoon. Police are, however, continuing their investigation into how Dutt bypassed security, jumped over the fence and took off in a waiting vehicle. Fusita Kotawasawasa has more.
When FBC News visited the Korovo Correctional Facility this morning, officers were trying to repair a portion of the fence which Dutt and another inmate climbed over. Police have revealed 2 other inmates also attempted to escape on the same afternoon.
Our side of investigations will be stemming from how they managed to escape, and that's mostly where we will be looking at.
Corrections officers managed to catch the 2 before they could scale the 12-feet wall. One of the 2 who made it over the fence was caught before he could make a run for the waiting vehicle. Fiji Corrections Services spokesperson Anna Tunrau says they will await the return of the Commissioner Colonel Iferemi Vasu before releasing further information. Wasita Kotiwasawasa, FBC News.
Stay with us. Coming up after the break, new hangout and picnic spot for Suva residents soon as foreshore development nears completion. Welcome back. You're watching FBC News. Expect a brand new look to Suva's foreshore with works totaling $18 million to be completed by this weekend, aimed at giving the public one of the best spots in Suva for a picnic or just for that family day out. The Suva City Council project is one of the biggest ever. Ritika Pratap reports.
Despite several hiccups, development works at this prominent hangout is finally nearing its end. The project was to have been completed last November.
We are 1 year behind. This is due to a lot of reasons. One is the weather in Suva. We cannot do the landfill in wet weather. The other one is we could not get supply of rocks. And
this 600-meter walkway starts here and ends all the way to the picnic area. A lot of money has been spent on bures and gardens, and the council has already issued warning to those thinking of vandalizing the property or stealing the flowers.
You look at the beautiful tables we have done the beautiful benches, and my plea to the public is please, anyone doing any such things, vandalizing council property, will be taken to task.
The upgrade of this picnic area is also on the council's agenda, but it isn't included in the $18 million project, prompting a call for sponsorship.
It's proudly sponsored by your company, right? And I will give you the actual cost of the bures, actual cost of the seats. Even individuals, they can probably say, sponsored in memory of my late mom or dad or something.
If all goes according to plan, work should finish by Sunday. Ritika Pratap, FBC News.
There is not enough land in Koronivia to graze all the New Zealand heifers that were brought last year, as most have given birth. This is because brucellosis has not been totally eradicated from dairy farms. As Epeli Tukuasa reports, the heifers will only be distributed to farms that have been cleared of the disease.
Distribution of these New Zealand heifers to dairy farms has been affected as brucellosis is still being identified in most of dairy farms, especially in the Central Division.
Currently, the disease is only localized here in the Central Division, and we would like to tackle the disease here in the Central Division rather than having to work in other areas, because we would like to isolate here for a number of reasons. Now we have the resources here.
Over 300 were initially brought in. Now the numbers have more than doubled.
We had the natural growth here, and for those that were raised here at the Koronivia Research Station, some had been distributed to livestock farm in the Central Division, while others are very much overstocked at the Koronivia Research Station, simply because we don't have enough land.
Totally eradicating brucellosis is not that easy, and government is trying its best to make dairy farms free from the disease.
Eradication programs are not always easy. They come with time and some cost, and we are sure with the programs that we have, we should be able to have some forms of eradication come 2015.
Agreements have been made with several farms in the Western Division for the cattle to be relocated there and be brought back once the farm in the Central Division are brucellosis free. Epeli Tukuasa, FBC News.
It was a historic achievement for the people of Kalakana settlement outside Lami town today. More than 50 households will have new bathrooms and toilets within the next 3 years thanks to the Citywide Project. Akosita Tale with the report.
The Citywide Project involves the upgrading of amenities within the settlement, which is co-funded and implemented by government and non-governmental organizations. The sanitation upgrade means there will be better personal hygiene practice and improvement in health care.
The community must be involved, and this is what we are doing. The people are actually involved in the decision making, in generating funds and savings and so forth towards their own, own development.
It was a day like no other, as there were smiles on the faces of the residents in the small community that has ties to the Solomon Islands.
The greatest help we have received from the government is healthy living that has been given to us to promote and improve our living conditions.
While it has taken some time to reach this stage, work has finally begun. Citizens and residents of Lami have been encouraged to make their homes a safe and healthier place to live for the future of their kids. And now, with the sanitation issue out of the way, transport accessibility is another woe to the residents.
I've been told by the minister that he will certainly look into it. Our job is to get the measurements organized and a costing worked out, and hopefully FRA will look into this project, because there are hundreds of people living here and their needs should be catered for.
Akosita Tale, FBC News.
People with physical impairment are most in need of volunteers. This was highlighted at the launch of the National Volunteer Conference in Suva today. The Spinal Injury Association says while they are finding difficulty to making ends meet, volunteer services will ease their difficult situation to some extent. Shireen Lata reports.
Pick a blue or an orange ribbon to help those who are physically challenged. These ribbons were distributed at the launch of the International Volunteer Day as the disabled community need assistance. The Spinal Injury Association Executive Director, Joshiko Wakaniasi, explains what kind of support they need.
The community still look at disability as a product of charity, that more or less you got to assist them. They are not capable of too much.
Participants who were part of this conference raised concern that not everyone is aware of the role of a volunteer.
So other volunteers, the other young people, they don't know from where we can get in to be a volunteer.
However, the National Volunteer Centre says there has been some increase in the volunteer numbers when compared to the previous years.
Why we say that? Because you can see that there has been a lot of increase in terms of youth NGOs that are opening up, the new youth groups that are coming about, and there are a lot of youth movement happening in the last few years.
The 3-day workshop will end this Wednesday. Sharin Lata, FBC News.
Time for sports, and after a poor outing at the Dubai Sevens, the Fiji side is in South Africa for the next tournament. So, Jamie, what is the latest?
Well, Jackie, after heartbreak for fans and the team alike, there could be more bad news this weekend if the team does not improve. We'll have the details after the break. Also, the Paralympic Games draws over 400 to Suva. Stay tuned for that and more. Welcome back. You're watching FBC Sports. After a disastrous outing at the Dubai Sevens, the Fiji side will have to improve drastically if it is to make an impact in South Africa. However, with some of the best teams in our pool, the dreaded thought of being eliminated to the bowl competition has already come to mind. Indra Singh with more.
Being played and away with Nankalavuki.
Is the tide about to change? Never in recent time has the Fiji Sevens team played in the bowl competition during the IRB series. However, being pulled with defending series champions New Zealand, underperforming England and Scotland, it is a battle on our hands. And already, England is aiming to break its trend of having played in 2 consecutive bowl competitions this season.
On to Rokobiao, back come Fiji.
Luck will turn for us, as will the tide, and we will start winning. And when we do, we'll use all of this as a bit even more energy.
And also, critics have already stated the current national team is nowhere near to what is expected of our Fiji Sevens side.
There were only 4 who were capable, and they bore the burden, but they alone were not enough to enable us to win in Dubai. It's a disappointment, and it must be changed before Port Elizabeth.
Coach Alifaret Indere has stated the squad in Dubai and South Africa is a second-string side. However, the question that needs to be asked is whether we can afford to chop and change and take a second-string team to such events. Indra Singh, FBC Sports.
The 2015 Rugby World Cup pool draws take place in London tomorrow morning. However, the Flying Fijians will have to wait until June 2014 to find out if they will feature in the tournament. This has been confirmed by the International Rugby Board as the Oceania World Cup playoff match has been scheduled for the 2014 June test window. IRB Oceania General Manager William Glenwright says the Oceania playoffs will start next season. This will see the Oceania Cup take place between the likes of Papua New Guinea, Cook Islands, Niue and Vanuatu. The winner will face off with Fiji for a spot in the World Cup. And you can watch the pool draws for the World Cup live on FBC TV tomorrow from 3:55 a.m. And Fiji outrigger officials made sure they saved the best race for last. The Uprising Challenge changeover race saw paddlers battling the elements from Suva to Pacific Harbour in the weekend. And Elena McDonald tagged along for the 4-hour ride.
It's Fiji Outriggers' closing season race, and although it's a grueling one, it's definitely a race that should be experienced. Here's why.
Good preparation, teamwork, and an awesome head start. The Uprising Challenge involved paddlers while racing, swapping out at regular intervals over 50 kilometers along our reefs. It was an out of one and into another open water affair. And at the end of it all, Kaiwai blitzed their way to the front and never looked back to collect the top prize.
First time for Lamy to put 2 teams in this year. One of the other clubs, the Tafanga Canoe Club, also did 2 teams. It was the first time we've ever managed to win both first and second. So very proud club.
Takia and Tafanga Canoe Clubs eventually found their way in. And with a new season on the horizon, Fiji Outrigger has its sights set on new endeavours.
Fiji Outrigger is now going to focus on junior development. We're looking at sending a 50% youth and 50% experienced squad to Wallace Futuna in September 2013. So we're looking forward to really taking it big time.
And if it all goes to plan, this is one sport that'll turn heads come 2013. Elena McDonald, FBC Sports.
Disability is not inability to participate in sports. This was the message from people who took part in the Paralympic Games today in Suva. Students from special schools around the country joined other disabled members to take part in the Games today, which also involved team sports. Shelvin Chan was at the Games.
People with disabilities today showed that barriers which once stopped them from enjoying sports are disappearing. The game means a lot to some of the athletes.
Here we get to advocate and make people aware of our disabilities, and also here there is equal opportunity for us to showcase our abilities.
Elias and Delana's achievement in the London Paralympics has provided inspiration to many people with disabilities in Fiji.
Delana's achievement has had great impact on our lives. It was a great event for him and for us and helps us achieve our sporting ambitions.
The day was full of fun and good camaraderie, but there was just one regret.
You people out there, please support disability sports. And
the Paralympic Sports Day comes only once a year, and for these guys it's a beautiful day. They want this to be celebrated with other people. So what they're asking for is the support of the people to come out and support them, and perhaps to have this day more than once a year. Shelvin Chan, FBC Sports.
And that was your Monday Night Sports. It's back to Jackie now for business.
BSP has issued a response to the news item that ran earlier about possible collusion to fix prices for home loans and car loans. Country Manager Kevin McCarthy says, quote, BSP categorically deny that we are consulting with any other banks to set prices for the Fiji market, unquote. Fiji has one of the most progressive anti-money laundering frameworks in the world and is committed to strengthening its response to money laundering crimes. This was the comment made by the Fijian Director of Public Prosecutions, Christopher Pride, at the conclusion of a two-day anti-money laundering workshop recently held in Suva. Pride says what needs to be done now is to continue to educate stakeholders of their obligations under the law and train state law enforcement and prosecution agencies to use the tools available to eliminate money laundering in Fiji. The workshop was targeted towards awareness of the issues and laws relating to money laundering and the making of civil and criminal applications for orders by the courts to seize and dispose of properties obtained from illegal activities. That lovely time again. Genevieve joins us with the weather.
Well, Jackie, it was back to base for most of us this beautiful Monday. Now, looking at the weather, Nandi, Lautokapa and Mombasa had some fine weather this morning. Unlike all the other centers, there were some clouds and showers in the afternoon. Nandi leads the temperature charts tonight with the highest recorded at 32 degrees, while Savu recorded the lowest with 29. And just like today, the west and the north should expect fine weather in the morning and some clouds and rain in the afternoon and evening. Suva and Savu will be cloudy in the morning. And finally, for Wednesday, cloudy periods with some showers over the eastern parts and interior of the larger islands, afternoon or evening showers elsewhere. So keep that umbrella handy.
Thanks so much for that, Genevieve. And the headlines again, ANZ and BSP under scrutiny by Commerce Commission. Water Authority customers complain of massive hike in bill An escaped inmate recaptured as police investigate breakout. Time now for the results of last week's opinion poll. We asked, should the All Blacks play test matches against Fiji? 49% of you said yes. And for this week's question, is coach Ali Ferretti Ndere to blame for the Dubai Sevens loss? To answer, go to www.fbc.com.fj. That's it for now. Until tomorrow, good evening.